I'm your resident popcorn theologian and your recycling sure food, etc. I use the pronouns he, him, and ta. One of the joys of being UUs, Unitarian Universalists, for those who are new, I've seen everybody here on that, is we're frequently lay-led. We share each other's religious and spiritual experiences. You're not going to a hierarchical church. We're not Buddhists necessarily, where you consider empty vessels for doctrine and long-studied wisdom to be poured into. Or even worse, we're not Catholics. We don't consider you corrupted from birth and in dire need of washing away your natural state to be saved by something that you're not even supposed to understand, unless you go to years of theological school to become a priest or a nun. We're here to share. And I, for one, want to know your religious experiences. Welcome. These opening words are written by Eric Idle. Why are we here? What's life all about? Is God really real? Or is there some doubt? For today, we're going to sort it all out. For today, it's the meaning of life. What's the point of all this hoax? Is it the chicken and the egg time? Are we just yolks? Or perhaps we're just one of God's little jokes. Today is the meaning of life. Is life just a game where we make up the rules while we're searching for something to say? Or are we simply spiraling coils of self-replicating DNA? In this life, what is our fate? Is there heaven and hell? Do we reincarnate? Is mankind evolving? Or is it too late? Today is the meaning of life.
Thank you, Adam. Good morning. I'm Hannah Norby, the Spiritual Life Director for this congregation. I just have a few announcements. Let's see. Where are we? Oh, this Wednesday night, the Wednesday night small group will meet here in the sanctuary at 6:30. Today, after the service, I will be making reindeer food for the reindeer. So that we can sprinkle it on the lawn after the Christmas Eve service tonight. So young and young at heart are welcome to join me making reindeer food. Let's see. Next week, Sunday service, I will lead a New Year's meditation. And then afterwards, for our creativity workshop, we will make some New Year's journals. Like we'll actually put them together with paper and make them pretty. Put in the questions that we want to ponder for the New Year's. We still have auction items available, right? Yes. Okay, they're in the newsletter. Back here. And back in the hallway. The one thing that I noticed that wasn't in there is Jen's chair yoga, which is okay, we'll figure that out. But I just wanted to let you all know that Jen Dean is doing a chair yoga class on January 2nd, sometime in the afternoon. We didn't pick the time yet. So if you're interested in joining me and Jen for chair yoga, please let me or Ken and Dorothy or Adam know, and we'll figure that out. And look at all those presents under the tree. Oh, mysterious. I wonder what they're for. Peter and I have been working hard to put together the Christmas Eve service that will happen this evening. At 6 p.m. we have our finger food potluck in the sanctuary, and then at 7 p.m. we will come in here for our worship service, unwrapping the mystery. That might tell you what the presents are for. And we will have fun. It will be joyful, but it will also be centered in mystery. So please come join us for that. It's always a lovely evening. We may even have a fire pit afterward if anybody is, up for that and feels like they can stay up a little bit later. We'll see. So thank you. It's good seeing you all this morning. All right, Adam, back to you.
All right. All right, let us create this sacred space by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith. As we do so today, let us center mystery by holding it in silence as our chalice is lit. And Crystal Norman will do the honors. And I think we'll sing and sign Spirit of Life, hymn number 123. Thank you, Tim. Crystal. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí. Yo corazón, cantaré tu compasión. Sopla sube la mar hacia gloriar la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí. Beautiful, Tim. Thank you so much. My girlfriend says I don't talk about myself very much. I'm a closed book, and that most of you don't know me very well. So let's find out. Is that true? As you pay attention to today's service, perhaps you'll know me better. My first question for you is the meaning of life the same as purpose? Is it the same as finding your joy? Is joy the same as happiness? So 4 things that I commonly see in the zeitgeist of American YouTube videos and books about self-help. They're generally equated, but I'm not going to necessarily go with that assumption. Meaning of life, purpose, joy, happiness. Our opening readings by Douglas Adams. In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. Is anyone familiar with Douglas Adams? Do you know what this means?
No, 42. I don't.
You're pretending to be
42, the answer.
You're 42.
So Douglas Adams wrote a series of books where people are searching for the meaning of life, and he said searching for the meaning of life is so ridiculous that the answer to the meaning of life is 42. And then people are like, what does that mean? And so you got to find the question to what's the meaning behind the question for meaning of life. All right, I'm going to start a story for all ages. I know we got Victoria back there, Violet back there. She looks like she's having a great time. But anyone else young at heart, feel free to come on up and let's do a nice little story. This is a grim fairy tale. Nice little cartoon right there. Once upon a time, there was a king who traveled his country and saw sparrows eating grain out of the field. When he returned to his castle, he said, "My people work hard in the fields." That's supposed to be a sparrow. "Sparrows are consuming grains they didn't plant. They deprive my people of the fruits of their labor. We must stop them." And he launched a war on sparrows. Over the next few years, the people worked very hard to fight the sparrows. The war against sparrows was very successful. The birds were almost completely wiped out. The king was proud of his people and their hard work and great fighting, and proclaimed a great feast and celebration. Surely next year's harvest would be the biggest ever. One morning, the king woke to discover clouds of locusts in the sky. The locusts swarmed the fields. They ate the grains, yes, but they also ate the plants themselves. And the next winter, the king's people began to starve. The end. So I'm going to ask you, does this story sound, to the people who are older than Violet back there, does this story sound familiar?
It was true.
It's a true story. Who is the king?
Mao Zedong,
Thank you. When did this happen?
1967.
Very close, 1958. What was the name of this war that he created on the sparrows?
American War.
No, Chinese war. It was the Great Sparrow Campaign. For those of you who like bird counting, Christmas activities, sometimes the Audubon does these bird counts. There were over 2 million sparrows killed. They know because they picked up the bodies, sent them in to get documented and counted, right? So at least 2 million sparrows killed. And of course, in the years to follow, millions of people starved to death. The estimate of fatalities range from 15 million to as high as 78 million. And as a matter of fact, the consequences are so awful that you can't talk about it in China today. Now, what Mao did was not just a dictator's decree, being the king. It was in fact a significant problem with decision-making. A single belief led to a critical error, and that error escalated into a catastrophic event. So the lesson I have for you is people without flexibility to accept information that does not align with their beliefs will struggle. This is called confirmation bias. It's a risky approach to decision-making. You want to not blindly stick to your beliefs. You want to make good and helpful decisions by staying open-minded. Be ready to adapt and seek different viewpoints than your own. Have you been paying more attention to the mystery around you this month? Have you reflected on how it expands your joys and comforts you during times of sorrow? While we sit and sing and listen to this morning's message together, the threads of mystery are woven deeper into the fabric of our lives, deepening our awareness of life's joys and sorrows, and pulling us to seek truth and meaning. In our Joys and Sorrows book, you want to write something in?
I'll do it.
Okay. You can write stuff in this Joys and Sorrows book. Usually this book, of course, sits by the entrance of the sanctuary, and I'll read from it right now while we take time to participate in our weekly ritual of placing pebbles in the bowl. Let's see, we have a concern. We have a friend in Cleveland whose heart stopped, but CPR was successful. And of course, a great joy that Sue and Peter Harris are here. Sue Harris and Peter Helwig. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. It is good to see you. Thank you very much. Now, you're invited to come forward, place the colored stones representing your joys, concerns, and sorrows in the water. Like the mysterious lights of the aurora borealis, let the many colors of our joys and sorrows mingle together, symbolizing the great adventures of our lives as we search for truth in this infinite universe. Tim's going to play us a little song here. Come on up. on Zooming? Anybody on Zoom today?
We have Daniel Wagner.
Thank you, Daniel. So, y'all are busy people. I know you got things to do today, big holidays to celebrate tomorrow and in the future. So I'm gonna give you the fast answers. When you're asking yourself what's the meaning of life, you can just follow someone else. WWJD. You know, I like Gandhi. I grew up with Apple computers since 1980. Steve Jobs, some people follow him. Heather likes the basketball world. Should she follow Phil Jackson, often referred to as the Zen master? You know, what are your favorite deities? You know. But if you're one of those people that says we should think for ourselves, then Mark Manson highlights the problem. Chances are you probably have no clue what to do. It's a struggle almost every adult goes through. And I would say if you don't go through it, maybe you're not an adult. What do I want to do with my life? What am I passionate about? What do I not suck at? Part of the problem is the concept of life purpose itself, the idea that we were each born for some higher purpose, and it's now our cosmic mission to find it. Maybe you should consider when people say, what should I do with my life, or what's my life purpose, what they're actually asking is, what can I do with my time that's important? Adam Leipzig, did a little TED Talk, and I saw that. I don't know if you know him. He's a big producer, executive distributor of movies. He's done 25 movies in Hollywood, more than 300 stage plays. He was one of the founders of the Los Angeles Theater Center. Anyway, he's a guy. And he basically said, you can ask yourself 5 questions and know the meaning of life in 5 minutes. Amazing. This sounds very American. He's a Yale grad, went to his reunion, 25th year reunion, hanging out with all these other privileged and highly educated people, very successful, found out that 80% of them were unhappy. He basically found the 20% that were fairly happy, and they knew the answers to these 5 questions. The others didn't. Number 1, who are you? Number 2, what do you do? Now, a lot of us do a lot of different stuff. So if that's too broad for you, you can maybe narrow it down by saying, what can you teach? If you can't teach it, maybe you can't do it that great. I don't know. Number 3, who do you do it for? Number 4, what do those people need? And number 5, how do they change when you do that thing for them? All right? So, 5 questions. Ready to go? All right, here we go. What I'm going to do, just, I'll ask the question, hold your answer, I'll count to 5, and then we'll all shout it out together. All right? Okay? So don't release until I, just hold it. All right? So, who are you?
I'm Crystal.
Oh, Crystal, thank you very much. We're going to try it one more time. We'll just hold that answer until I count you off. Who are you? Everybody. Thank you very much.
Human.
What do you do? Hold it.
Breathe.
Clean dishes.
And go.
I grew horses.
Number 3, who do you do it for?
The horses.
Go.
Cats.
All right. Now, what do those people or horses need?
Attention.
Oh, and I'm hearing a lot of love. I hear attention. Some people think attention is love. That's what it is. Right, very good. Okay, and now, how do they change when you do it? Hold it.
They feel better.
Happy, feel better. Yeah. Comfortable, helping people. Okay, that's great. Good job. You just found the meaning of life. Congratulations. Now, what's interesting about this quickie, back of the envelope, very American, get it done formulation is it forces you to think of others, right? 3 of the 5 questions do with other people. So you got to be outward facing. And, Adam Leipzig says, of course, for his philosophy, life teaches us if we make other people happy, we'll be taken care of too, right? So of course I would say he probably thinks the meaning of life is to make other people happy. And I heard comfortable and happy and safe. You know, you hear these kind of things. So here's some extra credit, because we got more time. We got another half an hour to kill. When people ask you, what do you do? That's a common American greeting, which I actually like. What some people want to know is, what can you teach them? Some people want to see if you're actually interested enough to talk to spend time with. And then, of course, some people just want you to ask them that question when it's their turn, and then they can talk. So that's okay. I think a lot about optimism versus pessimism when it comes to life issues. And of course, I'm going to go ahead and say that most Americans are very optimistic. You talk to your average Brit, French, you know, I mean, the Japanese are pretty optimistic too, but you know, you talk to these other people and they'll say, oh, Americans, oh, they're always smiling and thinking the world's awesome, and they don't, you know, anyway. It's very American. Now, of course, I think that does stem from, for example, our Declaration of Independence. Anyone know the preamble? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, women, are created equal, that they're endowed by their creator, maybe not, to certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, isn't that weird? The pursuit of happiness. And I actually read that happiness was a replacement. That was an edit. That was not the original phrase. The original phrase was the right of property. Life, liberty, property. That was a John Locke thing. John Locke, the philosopher, basically was like, you know, property, you got to have property, otherwise you're nobody, right? You're drifting on the wind. But it's interesting to me that I don't think that property and happiness are the same thing. Some people do. So, you recognize this guy? Now, some people might say that the meaning of life is being a virtuous person. Here we have Benjamin Franklin. You read his autobiography? It's a good read. Go for it. He, of course, is known as founding father, discoverer of electricity, or like, you know, at least like, you know, really putting electricity ideas together. Kind of what I call the American Confucius, with all his Poor Richard's Almanac sayings. Half of the witty stuff that's out there people think is from the Bible or from Shakespeare is from him, you know. And again, he didn't write it. He just collected it and stole from other people and slapped it down in a book, right? You know. So if you read his autobiography, you know that he put a lot of effort into tracking his virtues. Now, of course, you got to wonder which ones. And of course, he rated himself. He considered himself largely a failure at it. Woohoo! The first spreadsheet invented by an American. Lovely. So in his book, he writes, "It was about time that I conceived the bold and arduous project of arriving at moral perfection. As I knew, or thought I knew, what was right and wrong, I did not see why I might not always do the one and avoid the other. But there was more difficulty than I had imagined. Deciding one's bad deeds results from bad habits. One should concentrate on good habits to pursue good deeds. And he decided that 13 virtues, first he did 12, but then he slapped one more in there, were necessary and desirable. He even arranged them so that you could move from the first, which is pretty easy, to get harder and harder as you go on, and they would like compound, you know, the investment you made in the first virtue would make the third and fourth ones easier. So, obviously you can't read this spreadsheet, but right at the top, he's got a list of virtues, and then across, he goes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and he would check off when he failed at, like, you know, not really having that virtue working for him, or, you know. So, number 1, temperance. Eat not to dullness, drink not to elation. Number 2, silence. Speak not but what may benefit others or yourself. Avoid trifling conversations. Number 3, order. Let all things have their places. Let each part of your business have its time. Number 4, resolution. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. Number 5, frugality. Make no expense but to do good to others or to yourself. Waste nothing. Number 6, industry. Lose no time. Always be employed in something useful. Cut out all unnecessary actions. Number 7, sincerity. Do not use hurtful deceit. Think innocently and justly. And if you speak, speak accordingly. Number 8, justice. Wrong no one by doing injuries or even omitting the benefits of your duty. Number 9, moderation. Avoid extremes. Forbear resenting injuries so much as you think they deserve. I think that's a good one. Like, people hurt you, it's like, hey, let it go. Number 10, cleanliness. Tolerate no uncleanliness in body, clothes, or habitation. Number 11, tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles, at accidents that are common or unavoidable. Number 12, chastity. Rarely use venery, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but for health or offspring. Never to dullness or weakness or the injury of your own or another's peace or reputation. And then 13, the one that he added in later, humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. There you go. This is it. This is how you become, this is your meaning in life. This is what you should be doing. Now, Franklin allotted himself, yes, how long? 1 week to acquire each new virtue. 13 weeks, get it done in almost a quarter. And in order to see his progress, made this record book, gave himself a demerit each time he failed to exhibit a virtue that he was working on. He scheduled his day. Do we have the day scheduled? No, probably not. He allotted 7 hours for sleep, 8 hours for work, and 9 hours for planning, reviewing, reflecting, eating, relaxing, and reading. And during the experiment, guess what? He found that he was fuller of faults than he had imagined. But he said he found he had the satisfaction of seeing them diminish. That's cool. He turned out to be never very good at order. And I'm going to talk about Marie Kondo later on for that. Humility, that 13th virtue, was added later by his friend because he said he was very proud. And he struggled with that all the times. The best he could come up with, in his own view, was that he could simulate the appearance of humility. If you can fool other people into thinking you're humble, are you humble? Yeah. He felt, in fact, after all, that though he didn't become perfect, oh well, he felt better and happier for trying. He felt that his health, prosperity, reputation, and popularity were due to these efforts. Now, Franklin's plan to attain perfection astonishes me. He assumed that we are perfectible. He also assumed that the perfecting can be accomplished pretty quickly. He assumed that we're reasonable. Through reason, we can control ourselves. And we can, at any given moment, choose to unlearn bad habits of thought, action, substitute good habits. He also assumed that we knew what actions the good habits would dictate, and that they'd be easy to identify. Now, Franklin appears optimistic about human nature. Pretty American. He also acknowledges his failure to attain perfection, but he had a sense of humor about it. Having seen that perfection would never be his, he decided that such a condition might be a kind of foppery of morals. If it was known, it'd be made ridiculous, although he wrote about it in his autobiography. That a perfect character might be attended with an inconvenience of being envied and hated. And that a benevolent man should allow a few faults in himself to keep his friends in countenance. Now for me, maybe that's just sour grapes. Franklin always assumed that virtue was worth pursuing, not just because it's moral, but because it has practical benefits. He believed that even one's virtues should be cultivated within moderate bounds to foster happiness, and not as ends in themselves. Now, Confucius says, why are you a good person? Because it's good being good. It's an end in itself. For Franklin, he said, yeah, it'll, be good because it'll make your life better. So, have I done this sort of thing? Yeah. I have a spreadsheet throughout the year that I tracked the generosity of the universe. I like spreadsheets, right? And I basically came up with all the things that people gave me, or things that I found, things that just were uncovered that I didn't pay for, and tracked all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, donated the money to the church for it. I think about my values, my virtues. If you're familiar with Taoism, Wu Wei is one of them. It tends to be translated as like passivity. I think of it as like not interfering, keeping your nose out of other people's business. humility, frugality, kindness, honesty, emotional control, calmness, continuing self-education. That's not the virtues that Franklin picked, but those are mine. Now, we talked about him as he struggled with order, so I want to go to another lady that you might have heard of recently. All right? Just one of her books at the library that I happened to pick up. This is Marie Kondo. Familiar with her?
Oh, yeah.
All right, there we go. So here's some things about Marie Kondo that are kind of interesting. She claimed that she began to study neatness at age 5. Feng Shui had become trendy in Tokyo, and her mother had started becoming interested in it. Feng Shui, of course, is the Chinese philosophy about how to, do interior design. I call it a design philosophy. And it's supposed to make your life better. It's not just supposed to be beautiful. Her mother was applying the method, but to Marie Kondo's eyes, the house was not tidy enough to really get the Feng Shui effect. As a result, Kondo began implementing the tidy-up process at 5 years old to help her mother's efforts. She said that she experienced a breakthrough in organization one day, and this is, I think, around high school or something like that. I was obsessed with what I could throw away. One day I had a nervous breakdown and fainted. I was unconscious for 2 hours. When I came to, I heard a mysterious voice, like some god of tidying, telling me to look at my things more closely. And I realized my mistake. I was only looking for things to throw out. What I should be doing is looking for things I want to keep. Identifying the things that make you happy. That is the work of tidying. She founded her organizing consulting business when she was 19. In her senior year at Tokyo's Women's Christian University, she wrote her capstone sociology thesis, which is entitled Tidying Up, as seen from the perspective of gender. Now, interestingly, I don't think she's Christian because she spent 5 years as an attendant maiden at a Shinto shrine, and she talks about how Shintoism plays a big part in her philosophy of life. But this all sounds pretty American to me, and guess what? Yes, she lives in LA now with her husband, 3 kids. And they put out Netflix videos and books and things like that. And if anyone doesn't know this, after the birth of her 3rd child, Kondo's rigorous attitude towards tidying her home kind of relaxed in order, as she says, to make room for more personal priorities at this stage of life. Now, you might expect a Shinto shrine maiden to say that the meaning of life is found in the clouds, conversing with the gods. But no. She writes, research shows that clutter decreases joy we feel for 2 main reasons. First, it overwhelms the brain. The more stuff you have around you, the more overloaded the brain becomes. This makes it harder for us to recognize, experience, and savor those things that are important to us, the things that bring us joy. Second, when we're inundated with things, information, and tasks, we lose our sense of control, the ability to choose. We're no longer capable of taking the initiative or choosing our actions. We forget that work is a means for realizing our dreams and aspirations, and we lose our love for our job and place. To make matters worse, when people feel they are no longer in control, they begin to accumulate more unwanted stuff, and they struggle with a sense of guilt and pressure to do something about it. The result, they tend to put off dealing with this stuff indefinitely and generate a vicious cycle of increasing guilt and clutter and guilt and clutter. She writes in her Joy of Sorrow. Okay, so for Marie Kondo, the meaning of life is finding joy, and you can find joy in the people and things around you. Now, tucked back in this friendly neighborhood where we are, next to the tall pines, we come together to explore and wonder about the mystery of life together. This is a gift, and it's one that we sustain with our own time, talent, and treasure. So in this moment, we're going to take up an offering to sustain and transform this life-giving community. Now, this end of year, I feel a need to honor goddesses of knowledge, such as Athena. Show me the next one there. And of course, we have temples of literature in the Chinese tradition. So I ask you to help me donate to my most used charity after UUCL, Wikipedia. I'm going to match church donations. Now, if you put money in the plate, that's going to the church. If you write a check to Wikipedia, that goes to Wikipedia. But I'm going to match whatever goes in the plate. So the ushers will now pass the plates while I serenade you with another Eric Idle tune. Whenever life gets you down and things seem hard or tough and people are stupid, obnoxious, and gruff, and you feel that you've had quite enough, just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving, revolving at 900 miles an hour. In Miami, it's 934 miles per hour. It's orbiting at 19 miles a second, so it's reckoned the sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that we can see are moving at 11 million miles a day in an outer spiral arm at 450,000 miles an hour in the galaxy we call the Milky Way. Our galaxy itself contains 100 billion stars. It's 100,000 light years side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us, it's just 2,000 light years wide. We're 25,000 light years from galactic central point. We go round every 200 million years. And our galaxy is only one of about 2 trillion in this amazing and expanding universe. The universe itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all the directions it can whiz. As fast as it can go, the speed of light, 11 million miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. Miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. So remember, when you're feeling very small and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth, and pray that there's intelligent life somewhere out in space, because there's not much down here on Earth. Part of the wisdom of knowing the meaning of life is being able to handle the big failures. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who I think you all know, says, in fact, the purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, and to have it make some difference that you've lived and lived well. Now, there are some of the big life disappointments. Maybe you don't own a home. Maybe you didn't get the career you wanted. Maybe you didn't graduate from college or get the relationship you wanted. Maybe you fight with your mom. Maybe you watch too much TV. I'm about 3 out of 7 on that. Is that bad? There's another book I found in the library just recently called How Starbucks Saved My Life. The title was very silly to me. There was a son of a New Yorker writer, Brendan Gill. Does anyone read the New Yorker? Do you know Brendan Gill? Is he a big name? Okay, maybe a long time ago. Anyway, the son of his grew up, and he was meeting Ezra Pound and Ernest Hemingway in that circle. He went to Yale. He got an education. It led to a job at the prestigious J. Walter Thompson Advertising Agency. And of course, the son of privilege hobnobbed with Queen Elizabeth, T.S. Eliot, Jackie Onassis. But at 63, he had been fired from JWT, started his own business. It had collapsed. He had had an affair, got a divorce because of that, and had a new baby son. And he basically needed health insurance because he was diagnosed for a brain tumor. And so while he was unemployed, he just impulsively filled out an application at Starbucks and got accepted. He was assigned to the store on 93rd and Broadway in New York City, which, yes, was primarily staffed by blacks. And in his book, he writes about the education he got in race relations and working class life. And he said Starbucks' demanding standards for public service offered hope to him. He learned to appreciate the mutual support of his coworkers and to genuinely cherish the passing parade of unique customers. To his own astonishment, he realized that he actually looked forward joyfully to each hectic, exhausting workday. Isn't that interesting? This is a Persian phrase. Sorry for my poor pronunciation if you know Persian better than me. In needs bogzarad. Translated in English, this too shall pass. Another phrase that is, widely held in a number of cultures to deal with the failures and disappointments of life with some wisdom. Of course, it teaches us that all moments in life, good and bad, are fleeting. This general sentiment has often been expressed in wisdom literature throughout history and across cultures, but the specific phrase seems to have originated in the writings of the medieval Persian Sufi poets. So, praise and honor to them. I think about getting older. I think about trying to keep stuff more than capture new stuff, or stuff, people, myself. I have an aging brain. I think about the victory of experience over hope. I have less energy. I have painful memories. I think about death. Now, why do we die? So as Eric Idle said, we are just simply spiraling coils of self-replicating DNA. Why do you die? To get out of the way, to make way for the young. Now the young will have new and better genes than you. They have better adaptive abilities. Those new diseases come along, they can handle it. You can't, I can't. They have healthier reproduction systems. Good morning. So some people, Confucius for one, say that you have found the meaning of life and are success when you have kids, but not just kids, when you have grandkids, right? You can look at a variety of animals out there in the real world, and some of them have a lot of babies, and then they'll eat them, or don't care for them at all. They just, here you go. Good luck. And those animals, their genes, their DNA strands, have not even been successful until their descendants have had descendants. And so I think about that for humanity. Do we have any grandparents here? Congratulations. You found the meaning of life. You've had kids, and your kids have had kids. Now, we all know it's scary getting old, but we shouldn't forget how scary it was to be young. I think being old is better. There's a Harvard longitudinal study that, of course, is written about a lot in the stuff that I see. Are y'all familiar with it? Yeah, so they basically took people from like the 20s and then followed their lives, and these people outlived the researchers, and they're gone to like 4th or 5th generation of research, same data, trying to figure out if they'd had what they thought were meaningful lives. Did they find life's meaning? They basically said that, in fact, meaningful life doesn't come from achievement, but relationships. Now, I'm an introvert. I get lonely like other people do, but I also get, too much. Yeah, I miss Ishan. I miss being with my boys when they're away at school. Wesley's here, very thank you. I'm a watcher. I'm a nurturer. I have a lot of friends who are very talkative. They're great. I'm not very talkative, I don't think. Maybe I am. I want to remember one friend, Floyd Love. He expresses a lot of gratitude to me. We share musical and business interests. I want to express honor to Ishan. She's a physicist, mathematician, came from an Asian culture, all stuff I love. Wesley, of course, has been to Korea, which is fabulous. I'm hoping to learn more about Korea from you. Whatever. It's interesting, my parents, of course, who are not, as far as I can tell, introverts, they seem to be very gregarious people. My dad's a professor. He loves teaching people. My mom's a nurse. She loves taking care of babies, They love their jobs, and they're always out doing things. But my parents specifically warned me away from following my children, dealing with the empty nest syndrome. I wonder about that. They both joined the Navy and went to Vietnam at a very young age so they could kind of get away from their parents. So I don't know. I think they may assume that kids don't like parents. I don't know if that's true or not. But I understand. People got to have the freedom to live their own lives, right? Well, I'd like to close. I opened with this wonderful Sparrow Great Campaign story. I thought that was just a really heartwarming story. And so I'm going to close with another Sparrow story. This one was by Anne Lamott. She writes, I'm picking up micro litter, bottle caps, bits of wrappers. I try to help where I can. And I think about that. My mom and I like to do that too. We'll go walking in the park and just pick up litter. So her friend reminded her of an old story, the story of the sparrow and the horse. Do you know the story? She writes it's an old story. I'd never heard it before. I can't even find it on Google. So we don't know how old it is. Maybe she created it. Anyway, once upon a time, there was a great war horse tromping through the fields, and he comes upon a tiny sparrow lying on its back with its feet in the air, its eyes squinched tightly, shut with effort. The horse is like, what are you doing? And the sparrow says, I'm trying to hold back the darkness. Of course, the horse roars with laughter. That's so pathetic. What do you weigh, an ounce? On a good day. The sparrow replies, one does what one can. This is not really relevant, but I thought I'd throw this in there. When I looking for horse and sparrow stories, I came across the horse and sparrow theory. Anyone familiar with this? It's from the 1890s. We call it nowadays trickle-down economics. The story is that if you feed a horse a huge amount of oats, eventually some of the feed will pass through for the lucky sparrows to eat. Now, I ask you, as sparrows, is this the kind of economy we want? Okay. So for closing words, I want to have Anne Lamott write about some more. She was one day going out shopping for a new dress. She came out of the dressing room. Her friend was there. She was wearing a short dress, tighter than normal, and she asked her friend if it made her look big in the hips. Her friend looked at her in the eyes, calmly. Annie, she said, you don't have that kind of time. That sentence shocked me into getting real, she writes, about how I was spending my life. We know by a certain age that the great palace lies of our culture, if you buy this, or achieve that, or do the other, you'll be happy and rich. Is this true? And if there's to be peace in the home, there must be peace in your heart. Anyway, 602, read it, peruse it, think about it. Thank you so much for paying attention to me. Any questions? No? Great. Well, it's that time again, time to unwrap our present. Maybe we've all been good little boys and girls. We'll find the meaning of life in it. Where's Heather? Which present should I be unwrapping? Did she take off? Yeah. I mean, she's supposed to be on a break, and she's still here. I was like, hey, she's got all this work to do for tonight, the Christmas Eve service. It's going to be a lot. Well, maybe I'll just go grab one. That sounds like a good one. Yeah. Very nice. Now, I don't want to just go open anybody's present. Which one's ours?
It's hiding. Way
It's hiding.
back
Uh-oh.
there under the tree.
Back there under.
Let's try this one.
Try this one. Ooh, this is
Yeah.
prettily wrapped.
Yeah.
We got Santa on it. with his lanterns and ribbons. Who would like to do the honors? I'm looking at Violet. Violet, does Violet want to come open a present? Do you like opening presents?
Just hope there's nothing in there.
It sounds like there's a lot in here. Ooh, it's a good one. Do you like opening presents? Okay, cool. Yes, so here we go. Now, don't open it just yet. Shake it. Give it a shake. What does it sound like? Does it sound like coal? Coal. We're going to get some coal. Ooh, no, that's not that good. Any guesses? What's it feel like? Is it a book? Is it a pair of socks? Is it the meaning of life? Yeah. Let's find out. Open it up. Look at that.
Oh, Violet, this is a whole lot of nothing. What do you think?
We did find the meaning of life. Yay. Fantastic. You got your hymnals with you? Take a look at page 184, hymn 184. And think about this for the meaning of life and that present.
A whole lot of nothing.
Be ye lamps unto yourselves, be your own confidence. Hold to the truth within yourselves as to the only Lamb. That's from the Buddha. You know what the meaning of life is in your heart. You know already from your life's experiences who you want to follow or who you want to think about. Who knows the right ways to love and give service, and you want to be like them, or you know how to do it yourself. Be your own lamp. Be your own confidence. You don't have to, go out and ask other people. You know. Hold to the truth within yourself as the only lamp. Thank you very much. So please join me as Crystal extinguishes our chalice. Thank you, Crystal. Now, these words are the chalice extinguishing words we use in the church that I grew up with. And of course, being young, I know this from heart. Probably a lot of you know the ones here from heart, but I thought I'd share this with you. Knowing how quickly the flame of truth might be extinguished, how easily the chalice of fellowship broken. Let us be vigilant in our faith, keep peace in our hearts, and make care for one another the watchword of our lives together. So our light shines out everywhere into the universe. Now, go out and live your lives with your meaning. And remember, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are a blessing. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you. I'll play a little exit music for you here.